Welcome back to another episode of the Acastus Night Asterius. I'm Bri the Builder, and in this episode, I am going to be finishing the LED wiring on the inside of the carapace. There will still be a little bit more wiring to do to basically set up the plugs to go to the weapons and out to the USB power supply. But for now, I'm going to start with installing some copper tape on both the inside of the little wall I built up here by the magnet, as well as the wall here by the magnet, so that when the lid of the carapace is attached, it will have connection to the USB power supply. So I'll solder all of that up, but to start with at least, I need to cut a couple strips. So on the inside here, in order to build it up a little bit, I'm going to make a little bit of a kind of a mushroom shape. And then on this side, I'll just basically attach a strip. It is adhesive backed, but I will actually be putting just a bit of super glue under the adhesive to just make sure it stays. All right, so let's see. So this little guy, that's going to go in there, and then those wires are going to get fed through. And I'm going to put one red, one black on each side, and then kind of feed them around and back up and solder them. Oh, that came up. And solder them into place on the strips here. Once these are set. I think that's good. I might have to sneak a little more super glue into that, I guess, but I think it's alright. So, again, sneak the wires through. They'll get soldered. You know what? I think, oh, yep, foolish. It's the wrong one. That's why I didn't want to fit down into place. That's the 3mm, not the 1.8mm. Makes a lot more sense now. So that should be a very good spot there. And that we can just super glue in place. Super glue is fine on LEDs. You do not want to use it on fiber optics though. Super glue is really brittle and will make the fiber optics really brittle. And is therefore kind of bad. I think actually that might have worked out really well. I think the super glue kind of worked down into the lens. Perfect. Just kind of fill that lens up. I'll have to be careful with painting. And once that dries a little, I'll put some silver tape over it, which is a great light block, so I won't have any light leak back into the area around the back of the head, unless maybe I like how that looks and then I won't cover it with tape, but the lens there turned out good. Lucky sometimes. Alright, so then this LED has to sit in here and point into that space as well as possible. It'll work right in there. Alright, so little super glue. have to be careful with the zip kicker, because the zip kicker really likes to eat paint. So, hold this in place really nicely, and just add just a tiny squirt, if I can get in there. Not so easy. Alright. The problem is keeping my hand out of the way so I can get the spray in. And hold everything where it needs to be. That is about perfect. Appears to be very good. Now these will come forward to make sure we're not in the way of the wall, which should be fine. And then both of those are going to get soldered here. So I think I'm going to try to actually shape these wires to follow around the cockpit. So I think that would actually help kind of disguise the top edge, as well as just kind of add another layer of detail in there. Let's hope I can keep everything out of the way here. A little super glue on there. I can use my toothpick. try to just spritz a little of this on this plastic. And do the same thing with the toothpick. And make sure all that super glue, if I can, I'll make sure it's set. Stuff evaporates pretty fast though. Alright, that should be good. Should be all set. Now let's do the red. That's fine. That would have been far smarter to prep that before I started this, because that's a really nice way to go. A little super glue. Followed by a little zip kicker. Well, my daughter just got home from school. So, well, maybe I won't edit that out. It's kind of funny. Just trying to run stuff so it looks like there's a reason. Well, I mean, it doesn't need to look like there's a reason, I guess, but it's just like logical. There are wires. And then really once that's painted, those should look really cool in there. So these guys, we're gonna have to coil these up somewhere. I'm not sure exactly yet, but for now, it'd be nice if these were a lot easier to strip these wires. Because I do really just need to shorten them. That would be the best way. Alright, so I'm going to pause there, and I'm going to figure out a good way to actually strip these wires. I don't have a wire stripper this small. All of my normal wire strippers are for, well, normal gauge electrical wires. So there has to be a good way to do these with the tools I currently have rather than buying something special just for these tiny wires. All right, so I'm going to do a little bit of research, and I will come back when I figure that out. All right, not sure if what I saw or read is true. I guess read, not watched a video. Probably could have, should have watched a video, but we'll see. I'm going to test this theory. So if I cut these closer to length here, there, and I at least loop that one around a little bit to give me some space to work with. So we'll see. I'll test it on this end of the wire, and from what I read, I should like melt it off with my soldering iron. It seems, well, I don't want to touch it. It's hot. Yeah, it's definitely hot, but it's not hot enough to melt that coating. So I do that, and then no. Well, fingernail did get through it. It's not ideal though. Hold on, way too tight. So then I think I am limited to, and it really is going to have to just be this way. I think I'm going to have to use this and essentially file it off, which works, but it's kind of a nuisance. If I can give myself a little bit of tiny wires, not always easy to work with. Need to nick it a little more. Hopefully.
Okay. Do not make my life any easier on this one. Not too bad. Didn't mess up any of my glue or anything. I'll have to probably come back and actually attach that right in there. Alright, these two probably don't need to twist them. But it might make it a little easier if I twist them together. This is when big hands doesn't really help with tiny work. Alright. I think that's pretty good. Alright, now this one, let's go right about here. go. Popped a couple glue seams on that one, but that's no big deal. Alright, there we go. Alright, let's see. I need a little bit. I think I have a piece of parchment. Yep. Piece of parchment underneath where I'm going to solder, at least where I'm going to pick up some solder. Just grab a little. I don't want a lot. Alright, so try. Alright, we're just going to have to hold it. I don't want it too thick. I mean, it can't be too thin. If it's too thick, it's going to stop. I can probably sand it off a little bit too. I don't want to melt the plastic. All right. This is the same idea that copper tape is the same thing I used on the Iron Man helmet. So I know it works. the only thing I'm not sure about is this resistor here. And if it may be in the way. Let's go the other way with this guy. That ought to work. I'll be able to tuck that right back there. All right, that ought to work now.
All right, well, let's take a look and see how that fits. Don't appear to be any issues. LED sits there fine. There's definitely a bit of a gap to the magnets now. Doesn't have any room to collapse any further though. So, I mean, it's not really going to come off, but the thickness of these welds definitely is holding it back. So I may, and it may be stuff like this too, but some of this could be in the way. I don't think so based on this curve though. That should be below that. And honestly, I mean, that might be a little, but it should not be in the way much. Right, because really this curve should be the limit. On this side, it's definitely, right? I'm going to sand these down just a little. We'll see what happens. All right, that, I don't know. It's really can't be any better, I don't think. Well, that may be really nice. I mean, I don't think there's any such thing as perfect, but all the wiring's hidden. It's got to be making contact. But I won't know for sure until we actually get everything, the rest of the wiring done and the power hooked up. So the top of the carapace is done for now. I think I'm going to call it on this video, and I will do the rest of the carapace with the fiber optics in the next one. This one's just getting too long. So, well, see you in the next build.